Does our Mk7 Volkswagen GTI actually make 300 horsepower like we've been claiming for a year now? Let's find out. It's dyno day. We're here at VMP Performance using their DynoJet dyno today, and we're finally going to figure out how much power our GTI actually makes. We think it's somewhere around 300 horsepower thanks to an intercooler, a cold air intake, and a tune by 034 Motorsport, but today we're finally going to find out. So we're going to run the car as is, as we've been tracking it for about a year, and then we're going to go ahead and flash the tune back to stock and see how much power it would make without the tune. Before I dig into the data though, I need to take a minute and thank the sponsor of today's video and our channel, 034 Motorsport. They make all sorts of parts for Volkswagens, just like ours. We've thrown most of their catalog at the GTI, and I can honestly say that everything I've used has been really well made, really well thought out, and kept its promises, including the tune we installed. So we tested the car exactly how we've been running it, with a tune, a cold air intake, and a front mount intercooler. And then we went ahead and put some boost stain in the car. It's an octane booster you add to the fuel that can simulate the effects of race gas, and we wanted to see if higher octane would still help the car make more power. It's a really warm day, and we thought the car might be knock or boost limited. Then we went ahead and flashed the stock tune back onto the car. We've been running a 034 Motorsport Stage 1 tune designed for 93 octane pump gas, and we wanted to see what the car would do without that software tweak. I've got all three runs pulled up in my DynoJet software here, so let's go through the curves and see what the car was doing. Now before we dig into the data, I wanted to mention that we measured wheel horsepower on the dyno, and we're going to be discussing wheel horsepower and torque for the duration of this video. Now, Volkswagen advertises crank horsepower, and when we say that our GTI makes 300 horsepower, we're going off of a claimed crank number from 034 Motorsport. Now, they also publish wheel horsepower numbers. If you want to dig a little bit deeper into that crank horsepower versus wheel horsepower number and what 034 advertises, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description to view all the details of the tune. For now, though, let's look at the wheel horsepower and torque numbers from our GTI. Okay, so here we're looking at the three runs from the dyno. The brown curve here is torque and horsepower for the car with the cold air intake, the intercooler, and a stock map. And then the red line here is the car with the 93 octane tune from 034 Motorsport. And then the yellow line here is that same setup, except with a couple bottles of boost-tane thrown into the fuel tank, again to raise the octane of the fuel. So let's start with a stock curve here. We can see that in brown. Should be able to, there we go. And I can drag my pointer around here and actually see kind of the difference between the different curves at each point on the chart. And along the bottom axis here, you can see engine RPM to kind of give you an idea of where we're at in the car's rev range. So I wanted to start by pointing out kind of how much torque this car makes so early. We're at 246 foot-pounds bone stock at 2,450 RPM. That is one reason these are such good daily drivers. This is not a high-strung sports car. This is a torquey little commuter that, it's basically a perfectly flat 250 foot-pound torque curve all the way to 4,500, 5,000 RPM, somewhere around there. So I don't really know what else to say except this is what a modern direct-injected turbocharged powertrain looks like. It's pretty impressive, and it's one reason modern cars are so cool. So in stock form, the car made 258 foot-pounds of torque, peaking right about 3,700 RPM, that's right here. And it made 216 horsepower, peaking at 5,400 RPM. Again, that's right about here. This is a pretty clean, nice stock curve. Again, it makes torque early, it starts to run out of steam, and that's what it is, 216 horsepower. The car is rated at about 230 horsepower and 270 something foot-pounds, so these baseline numbers at the wheels look pretty darn close to what they should be. So now let's talk about the car as we've been racing it. Again, there are no hard part changes between these lines, only the difference of the 034 tune and slightly different fuel. So you can see this red line here. Basically, the car makes so much more torque down low in the rev range. It is amazing. A difference of about 50 foot-pounds at 3,000 RPM. And then the car keeps that increase all the way until way higher in the rev range too. You can also see the tune has raised our rev limiter almost 1,000 RPM. We previously had a limiter at about 6,100, and now it runs all the way to 7,000. This is awesome on track. Shifts are really quick with the DSG, but it's still nice to be able to hold gears longer. So the car on 93 octane pump gas made 260 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque. So that's pretty darn impressive for a tune and a couple supporting modifications, basically. Now, I know the car has a big intercooler and a cold air intake, but we really don't think that those are affecting the car on the dyno. We think that the intercooler's effect is primarily in helping the car recover from all the heat it builds on track. We expect pretty similar numbers without any hard parts. So the 034 Motorsport tune promised 303 horsepower and 341 foot-pounds, and I would say that those numbers seem pretty close. We made slightly less power, if you use the same driveline loss formula from stock to the tune, but I would say we exceeded expectations in the torque number. So all in all, pretty darn close. I'm pretty happy with that purchase. Now though, let's talk about what happened when we raised the octane of the fuel. Again, we didn't even use real race gas, we just dumped a couple bottles of octane booster in. And as you can see, horsepower stayed the same. Both situations peaked right about 260 horsepower. But the torque was incredible. We picked up 16 foot-pounds of torque, something like 5%, and you can see it right in the difference between these two curves here. And that is really just the fuel letting the car run either more boost or more timing or both. And it's pretty cool to see the effect in real time. Now I should note that we didn't data log on these runs. We didn't track air-fuel ratios, we didn't track knock or boost, and the reason is we don't have the ability to modify this tune. So to a certain extent, ignorance is bliss, but we didn't see any value in the additional time and money of data logging a bunch of stuff that we couldn't change. So all in all, pretty darn impressive that this car we've been daily driving for over a year makes 326 foot-pounds, and pretty darn happy with it. So if you want to see everything we've done to our Mk7 GTI so far, I'll put a link to the playlist down below. If you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time, we'll see you at the track.
Support brands who support Grassroots Motorsports. Get your chemical solutions from CRC Industries. To learn more, visit crcindustries.com. Want to see more content like this? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And for more information, visit us online at grassrootsmotorsports.com.